Hey YouTube, it's Dimitri, and today I'm going to discuss how to pick a college. So I actually did my research. I looked around at a bunch of other videos of people's advice. I considered what they thought, but really I'm going to give you my opinion. Just to validate myself, I have a bachelor's in business administration, so a BBA in finance from Washington State University. And I also have a master's degree in applied economics with emphasis in financial engineering from the University of Michigan. So I think it's important because half the videos I saw were somebody more or less who just graduated from college or from high school, who just started college, or it's like they were partway through college. And the reality is you can't see far enough in the future to see whether your degree was even worth it and the consequences of your degree. So I feel like a lot of these videos are going to give you superficial advice, and at the end of the day, you're going to make a crappy decision. So first off, one thing I wish I would have known was specialization. So when you go to college, a lot of people don't know what they want to do. But if you know like a general area, like you want to go into business or you want to go into like sciences, or you want to be an art major, for example, look at all the universities that are top rated for that field. So one of the biggest mistakes people make is they select a program based on the university ranking. And I'll give you an example. I went to Washington State University. We're not ranked very well in the country. We might be like 100 and something. So it's not the best school, right? But you have to realize like WSU is ranking like number 2 in the country for veterinarian medicine. So that being said, if you want to go to vet school, WSU is one of the best schools you could pick. And I don't think a lot of people would select it because they'd be like, oh, it's not ranked very well, so I don't want to go there. So I would encourage you to look at rankings of your specific program. So if again, you want to be a business major, look at the top rated business programs. If you're going to be an art major, look at the top rated art programs. So that's the first thing, is looking for specialization and ignore university ranking, look at program ranking. It's more important. The second thing to look at is cost. So what a lot of these students that are giving you advice in these videos don't realize, as they're not, I guess, full-fledged adults, is that they don't have a job. They don't understand what it's like to pay for school. So the biggest mistake and the biggest gripe I have is I'm so sick and tired of hearing everybody saying like, Dimitri, you don't understand. I went to university, and when I went to college and stuff, I have this massive bill and I can't pay it off, and the government should give me all this funding. It should be free. No, you should be an adult and you should select a university that is more or less in your price range. So for example, if you want to go get an art degree and you go to a private university, so say like Harvard, and you pay, I don't know, $150,000 for your art degree, was it worth it? No, it wasn't worth it. At the end of the day, are you going to be able to pay the $150,000 back? If you think you can, you think you are one of the best artists, and maybe Harvard's a great school for art, I don't know. But if it was, and you spent all this money for it, why would you spend all this money if you don't think you can pay it back? Right? It's a stupid decision. So my point being is look at cost. So when you narrow down schools, the second thing is the cost. You need to look at all the different programs that are good in your field. It doesn't necessarily need to be the best. Like you don't need to go to the number 1 art school, the number 2 art school. It'd be great if you got in and the price was well and you could pay for it. But even that, in selecting a major, you should select something where you can make money. And I think that's a big complaint with me. I would have loved to pick something that would have been fun to do. I love taking, for example, geology. But I knew being a geologist, I wouldn't make any money. It wasn't financially feasible for the lifestyle I wanted to live. And so I selected business and finance. And I went on to do financial engineering, applied economics, things where then required math and statistics, things where they would pay me more money. And so cost is the second one. Don't pick the most expensive school, especially if your degree isn't going to generate that much cash. So that's the second thing to think about, is the cost and the return you're going to get from the degree itself. The third one I'm going to list is more or less goes hand in hand with the cost and kind of getting a job. The third one to look at is the Alumni Network. So I went to the University of Michigan. It's a state school. It's a very well-ranked program. One of the largest advantages Michigan has is they have an amazing alumni network. We have the largest alumni network living alumni network in the world. We have over 500,000 alumni. This is something important to look at and to consider, is how active your alumni network is, how many people are in the alumni network, how many people are in your field, for example. So again, if you pick some major that no one in your school majors in, you're not very good at it, even having a good alumni network isn't going to be as much value as if you went to a program that focuses on what you want to do. But the alumni network is huge. And hand in hand with the alumni network is looking at job placement. If you can find this information, that would be great. It's hard to find, but job placement is big. If you can get a school with a great alumni network and great job placement, you're going to be making money when you get out. So you can pay off your student loans, and if you picked a school with a reasonable tuition, you're going to be able to get out, pay off your student loans, live a happy life, and do what you want to do. And I'm going to say kind of the final one here is cultural fit. Cultural fit is big for universities. The reason I say this is also because there's another video which I'll post a link to up here on the right if I can. It's by, I think, ASAP Science. They talk about more or less being in the right university. So if you like end up in Harvard, but you're just like an average student, it's going to be really difficult because you're going to go from being average to being really dumb. Or you might be like the smartest person with the best GPA at your high school, but when you go to Harvard, you're most likely not going to be. And so for a lot of people, that's kind of like an ego, I guess, bust. Like it just kills your self-esteem because you were expecting to be the best. And so you need to take in cultural fit as a consideration of A, does the university seem like an environment or city you want to live in? B, are the people there like you? So again, if you picked a program that specializes in what you want to do, it'll probably be a good fit because the people that you're going to be around are going to be people that are wanting to do what you want to do for a living. And so it'll make it more fun and more exciting. So those are my tips for more or less selecting a university and a college. Again, the cost is important. The specialization is very crucial, something I wish I would have known more about. Another piece of advice that typically gets thrown out there, which I agree with, is that you should apply to more or less a variety of levels of schools. So you should consider more or less applying to schools like you know you're going to get into, schools that are easier to get into, schools that are kind of in the middle, and then like dream schools. This is good advice because a lot of times you're not going to get into a dream school. And so you want good backups. You don't want to just pick garbage programs. And my advice in general is I would look at good cost schools, which are typically going to be state colleges and universities. And the reason I say this is not because I went to 2 state programs. I had the opportunity to go to a private program. But in general, your cost reward kind of benefits, the trade-off between the two, you're going to get a better value in a lot of state schools than you will in a private school. Again, if the program is like the best in the country, the job placement's amazing, they have an amazing alumni network, and for example, like at Michigan, I paid like $21,000 a semester for my master's, it's going to pay off. It's going to be worth it in the end. So again, don't just throw out like the private schools or the really good state schools that are expensive, but definitely consider state schools that are cheaper because you'll get more bang for your buck. At the end of the day, going to a college or university, the real goal is to get a job and make money and be good at something that you want to do. So more or less pick schools that are good fits and are good values. And my last piece of advice is that you need to understand the difference between an undergraduate degree and a graduate degree. For those of you going to get an undergrad degree or a college diploma of some sorts, understanding that in the United States, at least specifically, is we take a broad variety of classes, like general classes. I agree with this full-heartedly. I think it's a great way to select a major because the truth is most of us go into a college or university and we don't know what we want to do. And so in the United States, when you end up taking a variety of classes, it's great because you have to take science, you have to take mathematics, you have to take, a variety of other classes and electives, general studies, for example. And all these classes are beneficial because you can narrow down what you do and don't like. An undergraduate degree is more or less figuring out what you want to do and then getting like a basic understanding of it to start. Like none of you are going to be an expert after you have an undergraduate degree. So you need to understand an undergraduate degree is for getting the basics, getting started in a field, and really getting that start to get going and to make money. If you want to be an expert on something, or at least more of an expert, that's when you go to graduate school. So you go and get your master's or your PhD. Getting these degrees are going to give you more in depth on just one topic. Like you're going to dive really deep into a lot about one thing. Whereas an undergraduate degree, you're going to know a little bit about a lot of things. And it's not a bad thing, but it's a good start. Like the undergraduate degree starts you either in a career to get a job in industry, or it starts you to get a master's or PhD where you're going to deep dive into something. So keep that in mind. But I'm going to cover more or less the bad things. So I watched a video and there was a girl presenting this. And the first takeaway is I'm looking at her like she's more privileged and a spoiled brat because she said on this video like, oh my gosh, the things that are important for selecting a college are like football teams. Like, I just love football, and going on about the sports teams, okay? Yeah, that's fun. It's great, right? But the purpose of getting a degree is not to go and have fun and party. And the second thing is then she went on to discuss like, oh, the Greek life is so great at these schools, so I had to pick it because of the Greek life. Again, Greek life is good, and it might play into the networking and the alumni part. So there are advantages of doing it. I'm not totally against it, but the point is that you shouldn't pick a school based off the superficial facts of like the Greek life, the sports teams, how much fun and partying you're going to do. When you look back in 10 years and you're the guy that's sitting there going, oh my gosh, I've got $100,000 in debt. I make $30,000 a year. I can barely survive. I don't know what the hell I'm doing. You're going to be pissed off that you selected to go to that university. No matter if it's Harvard or Yale or Princeton or these great private schools, you're going to be mad. Unless, again, you pick a great degree with a good return, so you end up going, for example, to, let's say, MIT for a mathematics program, it's probably going to pay off. Again, the school's really expensive, but it's going to pay off because it's a good name, it's a good program, it's what they specialize in. So those are my tips for picking a college or university. Again, think about this financially. It's important to pick somewhere that you can afford. It's really ridiculous when people are out spending, six figures, so over $100,000 for a degree. And at the end of the day, you're going to get a minimum wage paying job. It's just not worth it. So if you want to do something fun and exciting, you love, for example, doing like geology or art or something, and you know you're not going to get paid a lot, try to find a really good value school, a school that's well ranked in specifically what you want to study, but also has a good cost. So those are my tips. Thanks for watching, and as always, until next time. Thanks for watching my video. If you find it helpful, please like, share, and subscribe.